Hey guys, it's Alex. I am back with another info video. Today's video is going to be about what to look for in a CBD oil when you are in the market for one. I've gotten this question a few times and I'm not a pro by any means, but I wanted to share what I have learned and what we personally look for when we are purchasing a CBD oil. This first one to me is by far the most important, and it is that you would find an organic product. Obviously, if you have something that is grown in the earth and it is not organic, you have the concern for pesticides and other contaminants in the soil. This is especially true for hemp because hemp is a decontaminant for the soil around it. So, excuse me, fun fact, they have actually used hemp at Chernobyl to suck radioactive materials out of the ground. So this is a big deal. It is very important if you have something that's not organic and there are heavy metals or pesticides or solvents or anything else in the soil that is going to get into the plant, and then it's going to be made into an oil, and then you are going to be ingesting it. So organic is really, really important in this case. Next would be extraction method. There's a couple. I'll just kind of briefly touch on two of those. So there's ethanol or solvent extraction. So this is where high-grade grain alcohols or other solvents are used. And when I say extraction, I mean that you have this plant and you have to get the properties out of the plant and extract them into oil form, in this case for CBD oil. So using the solvents, that process is a harsh process. It destroys some of the waxes from the plant, thereby destroying some of the benefits of the plant. So that's good to keep in mind. And they might actually contain chlorophyll or other contaminants as well because of that process. It's not as clarifying as the next one, which is CO2 extraction. So CO2 uses carbon dioxide, high pressure, and low heat. The equipment is really expensive. It's an expensive process, time-consuming process. So it often results in a more expensive product, but it's going to be safer and more potent at the end. Now, there are a couple of different levels of extraction. There's supercritical, subcritical, and midcritical. So supercritical is the most common, but it can damage some of the terpenes or other heat-sensitive materials that are in the plants. But it does extract some of the larger molecules, the omega-3s and 6s, and waxes from the plants. Subcritical is less likely to destroy the terpenes and the heat-sensitive things, but it doesn't extract the larger omega-3s and 6s and waxes. So what some companies do, and in my opinion this is ideal, is they use both the sub and the supercritical extraction. So for the subcritical, they would perform that extraction. They would get out the terpenes and the other heat-sensitive things in the plant, separate that oil, and then run the other extraction, supercritical, on the same plants and get out some of the other the fatty acids, the omegas and the omegas and the waxes. And then they combine those oils together at the end, and this results in a truly full spectrum product, full spectrum CBD oil. So, or also called total extract or total CO2 process. Now with full spectrum, you have full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate. So isolate is just isolated CBD or isolated whichever cannabinoid. In this case, we're talking about CBD oil. So you can isolate CBN, you can isolate these others. Now, CBD as an isolate does work for people, but it works for the specific things that CBD, that specific cannabinoid, is good for. So you're not going to get the other benefits of the terpenes and of the other cannabinoids because it's just CBD. It still works for people. People use it for very specific things and they find relief. But if you are wanting all of the benefits, then you need to be looking for something that is full spectrum. So when you have full spectrum, you have what's called the entourage effect, and that basically just means that all of the components are working together in your body for maximum efficiency. So that's good to keep in mind. I will touch on broad spectrum at the end. I think I'll close with that. The next thing would be third-party lab testing. So you want to know what is in the oil that you're taking. So the cannabinoid profile, if it's been tested for heavy metals, how it measured up if it was, terpenes in some cases, some brands will show their terpene profile as well. Now, what you're going to look for on a website is something that says COA, Certificate of Analysis, or it might say third-party lab results or lab test results or test results or something to that end. You can look for that, click on that, and then they will often have some of the most recent ones in there. Alternatively, some companies choose not to put them directly on the website, but if you email them, they will gladly send them to you. If you find a company that you can't find it on the website and they're also not gladly coughing it up for you, then I would say that that is a red flag, especially if these other things are not lining up as well. So, yes, keep that in mind. You can look at the results, you can know what you're taking, you can know the different levels of cannabinoids that you are taking, and all of that. So that's good. A next thing would be additives. So first, you do not want to have preservatives in your CBD oil. That is important to me. That is something that we try to avoid. And there are lots of good brands that have no preservatives in them, so you have a lot to choose from. Next would be things like, obviously you're not going to want dyes and colorings and anything like that either in a product like this. Sometimes there are sweeteners or natural flavors. Now that does not always equate to a bad product. It can, especially if it's not organic and it's not CO2 extracted and if it's not third-party tested, and if some of these other things, if you can't check off the box on some of these other things, then all of those are red flags as well. But that said, there are some great organic brands that have some organic flavorings in them or sweeteners. It's the plant by itself, or where it's just got a couple of ingredients, can have a really strong, profound taste. I personally do not mind that. Some people do and like to try to find something to make it taste a little bit better. So some of that is preference, but again, you're not going to want preservatives, colors, things like that in there. So if you have a question about specific ingredients, if you're looking into a brand and you're stumped on something, feel free to send it my way. I would love to research with you and for you and help you find out if the brand that you're looking at lines up with some of these things. I personally prefer 2-ingredient. That's what we use. We use brands that have a carrier oil of hemp oil. There are some others. There are MCT, olive oil, maybe a couple of others besides that. I think those are the most common ones. Ideally, I would say the cold pressed hemp seed oil, and it might say hemp oil, hemp seed oil, something like that. That, and then your total plant extract or your phytocannabinoid extract or something like that. So just 2 ingredients. You know what you're getting and it tastes like what it is and you just know what you're getting. I'll just put it that way. Okay, finally, I think let's see, dark glass bottles. The dark glass helps protect from light damage, and either way, it needs to be kept in a dark and cool place so that you can avoid damage done to those really sensitive materials that are in the oil. THC free is also known as broad spectrum. So there are THC-free brands and versions. This is a really important thing to mention for anyone who is subject to drug tests. So if you are an athlete or if you are, on any kind of team or any kind of job where you can be tested, it's important that you know that there are THC-free versions. And the reason this is important is because nobody can tell you, I can't tell you, nobody else can either, whether you would pass or fail a drug test for THC. There are some different variables with that. How does your body metabolize? What is the sensitivity of the test? What is your dosage? When is the last time you used it? There's all different kinds of things. So keep that in mind. They do have THC-free options, and if you need to find a brand that is THC-free, let me know. I can point you in that direction. I think that is it for now. I am miraculously keeping this under 10 minutes yet again, thanks to my notes. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to pass this on to anyone that you think it would be helpful for. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to help you out and do some more research and see if I can help you however you might need it. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye.